children. When you need an uplifting spirit, all you have to do is watch children at play. Look at those fine young people over there. Where are they going? Where will they be, and where will they take this army of ours when they assume leadership in a few years? What responsibility do we have toward these fine young people to help them build their values, to grow in their spiritual lives, to be grounded in God's Word, develop their love for the principles of the Army? We must continue to reach them and continue to teach them. On their shoulders, they will carry the bricks and mortars that we hope will build a better world and a better army. Their fingers will have to untie the knots in civilization's lifeline that careless hands of our generation have placed there. It will call from us our utmost effort and energy, our finest planning and programming, but the personal satisfaction that we get in watching their development will be worth it all. I believe that the best place for this to happen is in our Sunday schools. We have there the opportunity to both involve them and to indoctrinate them. A number of our corps have demonstrated outstanding skill in attracting large numbers of people. They are really growing. I thought it might be a good idea if we found out why. And so I've asked Major Robert Tritton, our Territorial Youth Secretary, to visit some of these corps and to help us learn what they are doing. Welcome home, Major.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you, and I'm interested in knowing what you discovered. Won't you join me?
Thank you. Commissioner, I think we have some exciting things to talk about, things that are happening in the Sunday schools in the Western Territory. We're going to visit 3 different divisions, 3 different corps. First, we'll go to Greeley, Colorado, then to Reno, Nevada, and then to Las Vegas, Nevada. And one of the things I have found that in visiting these corps, while they're using different methods in growth, the principles are all still the same. First, if you would, go with me to Greeley, Colorado, where Lieutenant and Mrs. Don Gilger and Lieutenant Georgia Adams are in charge of that fine corps. There's some exciting things taking place there.
Great, sounds great.
What was Sunday school doing 2 years ago? What's it doing now? Have you reached your maximum? Do you see it still growing? Do you see it leveling off? Just any of those kind of things.
Sure. Well, I think that the Salvation Army total has to realize, in many places, we've got all the room that we've got is what's right here. In this place, our chapel is out large. You don't have the money to build a new building. How do we expand Sunday school after we have 200 people here, when we can't really expand anymore? And so really church planning or outpost planning, whatever we want to call it in the Salvation Army, is really, I think, the answer to what we have to do in many cases, such as meeting the needs of cross-cultural ministries, Hispanics. We can't do it here, but we can if we start an outpost like we have in Fort Lupton. It enables us to meet an Hispanic need in that community, really Fort Lupton, Brighton. And there's people don't realize that there's 15,000 people out there, and it's about 95% Hispanic out there. So it's an exciting thing. And,
so this whole thing has been a growing process. It has in fact been happening over a couple of years. It's not a one-time gimmick type thing to get everybody here, and but it's been a growing process. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And although we do have gimmick times when we get everyone here, but those are not the day of salvation times of meetings. Those are the times when we are trying to get people's names so we can follow up and visit them, because it's very difficult to get your soldiers and people to go out cold turkey and knock on doors. It's also very unsuccessful. I've tried it here. It isn't going to work. But if you get someone who has been here at least once, or their child has been here at least once, or they signed up for prayer roll, or they received food here and you can go and visit them, then you have an inside track into being able to talk to them. We're going to meet the various needs of various age groups, because you can't say seniors have the same needs as young adults. You can't say that 5-year-olds have the same need as teenagers. If we're going to meet those needs, then we have to plug them into the various programs. And so we have a very strong emphasis on, if a woman comes, we're going to have a strong emphasis on.
From Greeley, our next stop was Reno, Nevada, where Captain and Mrs. Ken Osborne are the commanding officers. And boy, did we find some exciting things taking place there.
Good.
Captain, the reports I've been receiving obviously is that the Reno Sunday School is really growing. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think it really goes to our soldiers and friends getting enthused about the Sunday school, seeing that things can happen when we really put the emphasis on it. And this is started taking place last October, really, and we've just been growing ever since.
Do you find the people themselves are willing to get involved? The soldiers of the Corps, you mean they're actually willing to get involved
Yes.
and do the visitation?
Yes, and the follow-up and the calling, and because we couldn't do it if it were just left up to the Corps officer. It has involved a lot of people who have taken responsibility to do it.
Well, as we were visiting the Sunday school today, and I have a report that the attendance was 193.
Yes.
Are you using any particular gimmicks that get people here and then you follow through on them, or is this just a consistent growth of people working with people?
Well, I think that a part of it has been that we have been doing visitation, and we have been doing follow-up on those who come. We really don't use a lot of gimmicks. We basically are trying to encourage people to come because it's something that we have to offer to them. And once they come and try it, they find that there is something exciting going on here.
Had the opportunity to see the chapel before anybody arrived this
Yes.
morning, and it looks like about 100 is the capacity
That's right.
there, and yet where you're having 190, 100, over 200 a few times. Do you find these crowded conditions discouraging, or you find your people are able to roll with the punches and make the adjustments and meet wherever they can for their classes?
Well, it certainly creates some logistical problems in trying to find places for everyone. But we're not discouraged about it. We believe that when we reach the point that we can't grow anymore, God's going to give us another building.
From Reno, I asked Lieutenant Scott Lycan to go to Las Vegas, Nevada to see what we could discover there. I want to report that he reports some exciting things are taking place in Las Vegas.
Seems like they're happening around the territory.
Well, Captain, tell me a little bit about the visitation program you have going on here in Las Vegas.
Well, we have a strong visitation program, and that's the key to our success in Sunday school. We visit every child every Saturday. Every child that comes to the Sunday school receives a visit, and the purpose is to encourage them to continue coming, as well as find other young people that may be in the neighborhood that have never visited the Sunday school before, and to try to attract them to come and at least try the Sunday school once.
Do you have any tools that assist you in the visitation?
We use a flyer. I prepare a flyer every week. It's a different flyer every week, and the flyer basically tells the recipient what's going to happen in the Sunday school assembly, and we try to come up with something that's interesting and attractive to the child each week. Each week I spend time, a couple hours each week, putting a flyer together, and we reproduce the flyers ahead of time so that there's enough for each of the visitors, approximate quantity that they need. I use the Corps computer system to generate a visitors list, and they use these lists to enable them to find the individuals they're supposed to be visiting on their particular routes. We assemble all this together, and then they're ready to go Saturday morning. Well, the Sunday school is the nucleus that really has spurred the growth in the Corps. For instance, we will put on a special play or something that the Sunday school is heavily involved in. That will attract the parents in, and they'll come and enjoy what they're experiencing, and they'll want to come back again. And we've seen this over and over again. Older brothers and sisters that come that are not in the children's range, but instead in the youth range, and that's built our youth corps. We've seen how the Sunday school, without a growing Sunday school, you won't have a growing corps. It just doesn't work. The corps relies upon the Sunday school as the source by which they can reach out into the community.
So there you have it, Commissioner. Exciting things happening in 3 different corps and 3 different divisions in this great territory.
Great. What principles do you see unfolding in these Sunday schools that have resulted in this outstanding growth?
The first is shared ministry. Tremendous involvement by the Corps people themselves It's not just the responsibility of the Corps officer or the YPSM. The second is go where they are. An organized and consistent visitation and follow-up program. Often it takes 3, 4, and sometimes many more visits to demonstrate to the people that we really care. The third principle is ask them to come. If you don't invite people, they won't come. Philip said to his friend Nathaniel, come and see. The fourth one is needs-related programs. A well-organized program for all ages for good Bible content. Sunday school is not to be focused on young people alone, but on adults that we need to be involved in our programs. And if we provide for their needs, they will stay with us. Our screaming need is for young adult families. And the fifth principle is that the Sunday school is the entry point. Using the Sunday school as a means to channel the people into greater Corps involvement and into other Corps activities.
Thank you very much, Major. I'm sure if these principles are put into practice in all the Corps throughout the territory, they will have the same results such as we have seen in Greeley and Reno and Las Vegas. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the very fine officers, local officers, and above all the Sunday school teachers who have made this all possible. And so we conclude as we commence with our young people in the driver's seat, moving us toward the future. It is in their hands, and if we show real interest, if we will get them involved, if we'll see that they are indoctrinated, we will find them in our Sunday schools and in our wholeness meetings and in our Corps cadets and in our youth activities, and a few years in our Corps as our local officers and stalwart Salvationists. It is a gigantic task, but an unexcelled opportunity.
All right, let's try it. This is the light